take one thing and pass it on because a lot of them have similar information in there. You might grab something you don't really want. So Penn State, I got a graduate assistantship there. Who asked this? Oh. So that's going to cover the cost of tuition for 2 semesters. And it's like 10 to 20 hours a week of work, and you work with a graduate professor, which I think is a really good opportunity. So that covers tuition, and then on top of that, they gave me about $8,000 per semester for just living expenses, which it's hard to refuse that, you know. It's less than, it cuts the cost more than in half for grad school for me. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about their program. Washington was probably my number one. It was still hard for me to say no to Washington because the area alone is just amazing. I loved it there. I like to fish, so I wanted to be fishing in Seattle.
Grey's Anatomy, no, I'm just kidding. Totally.
Grey's Anatomy too, yeah, that was heartbreaking for my wife when we decided not to go. So yeah, I'm not trying to like brag about the offer I got, but you can compare me to yourself. Maybe my GPA is a 3.82, I think. GMAT 510. Good letters of recommendation. I think that really helped me. Work experience. Been working for about 2 years at the Student Health Center. But one thing Minnesota asked me about when I was there was, what are you going to do from now until September to get hospital operations experience? Because I talked about how that's what I want to go into, and I haven't been exposed as much to that. I didn't give the right answer for that. I kind of talked about how I would, but then I was like, well, I'm going to go sell security systems door to door for the whole summer, so it's going to be hard for me to get in a hospital in the meantime.
You gotta make that bread, son. That's exactly what he said to me. Gotta make that pay for this.
Gotta make that paper. So anyways, if you're interested in a certain section or part of healthcare, I would recommend just getting in there, even if you have to do it for free, you know. If you want to be in a hospital, then you should probably look at Madison Memorial or MAC, or any hospital that you can get in to get that experience. And so in your interview, you can say, this is what I saw in my hospital time, and that will really, really show for you. Cool. Any other questions? Yeah.
So you mentioned if you went to Washington, you would have had like 100,000 in student debt afterwards. How much of debt are you gonna have going to Penn State?
Cost of living is a lot less, so I would guess from 40 to 50,000 still.
It's about half.
Yeah. And you know, it depends on where you live. People are probably coming out of Washington with less than that. Just depends on how you live. But if you want to eat good, well, I should say, if you want to eat well, and then do fun activities. There's so many fun things to do in Seattle, San Antonio. Is anyone from Seattle here? Oh, San Antonio. San Antonio was so cool. Like at Trinity, I love the zoo. It's kind of weird. Like the kid in me I love going and looking at the animals, and they have a sweet zoo, and it's right next to the school. So it's like, right on, this is cool. And they have amazing food. The town is really nice. Like everything was awesome about the town. And the weather is a big influencer for some, but it's a good temperature right now. I don't like the cold. My wife doesn't like the cold, but yeah. Well, I grew up here in Rexburg, so. Does anyone have any specific questions at all about any of the steps to applying? Really try and get your application in early if you're going to apply this fall. Try and get it in October, and you'll get interviews quick. It surprised me. Before you apply, you get kind of nervous, like, oh, is anyone even going to take me into school? I was like, I don't even know if I'm getting in anywhere. And then, I'll get you just a second. You get into a few schools and you're just so excited. So I bet, don't be too hard on yourself, like no matter what factor might be low about your application, because they look at it as a whole, for sure. It wasn't just my GMAT, you know, it was other things that I've done, and then they'll look at you when you interview and stuff, so. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Dang it. Yeah.
How early do you apply for scholarships?
So a lot of them you don't have to apply. I didn't apply separately for any. They just offered it to me with their offer to the school. Once you're in though, they have scholarships periodically. They'll send you an email like you can apply for this scholarship, and then just do that when they do that. I don't know much about the dates. I think actually Trinity does that though, so you apply separately for their financial aid. But I didn't ever have to go through that, so. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What if you graduate at the end of spring? When should you apply, like the following year, the following fall?
So I graduate here in April. Are you talking about if you graduated in July?
Yeah, sorry.
You could still go, now it's probably, you're pushing it now, if you get your applications in, you still might be able to get in, but it's harder now at this point. If you were graduating in July, then I would get my application in there in October, this October, for next year, and try and just work.
Okay, so you would apply like a year early?
Yeah, so for me, I'm starting this fall, but I was just planning on doing that. Some people go and work for years, you know, it just depends on the opportunities you have, but. Okay, is that everything? Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, James. That was awesome. Couple more things. Katie Lunan is our PPACA director, and as you have probably seen on every newsletter, we still will accept people to help us on the project, but we need committed people, as Katie will tell you. But it's a good opportunity to have some experience to say we put something on. We're in the process of arranging exactly how it will be formatted, but it'll be student-led. So if you're looking for experience to say, I did something at school and I did something in my society, I really think you should consider it, because it's, you know, PPACA is all around. Everybody knows what that is, and I would think it would look impressive. So if you want to help, be committed, talk to Katie, and we're still putting that together, but it should be a good thing. Last thing, Spencer is our site visit director, and he's going to talk a little bit about the Washington State trip, some of the logistics. So.
All right, so April 14th, I believe, is the day we're planning on a site visit to WSU Spokane.
What
to
day?
April 14th. And, you know, we want anyone who's interested to come. It'll be really insightful to the program. I've kind of contacted the guy there who's in charge of admissions and things like that of the MPHA program, and he's, you know, welcomed us with open arms, and they're excited that we're coming. So just to kind of, we need a good amount of people to go. How many of you would be interested in something like that and going to visit Spokane? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah, that would be the numbers we need, right, Chance? Something
Yeah,
in that area.
so just to add to what he's saying, when we did a long-term care trip to Boise last fall, there needs to be at least 6, and what happens, the school subsidizes roughly 60% of the cost. For Boise it was $50 a piece. That covered our hotel room and transportation. Great deal. I imagine going up to Spokane would be a little bit more because it's a little farther. Probably be roughly $75. But like he was saying, we would leave on Sunday the 13th, I believe, and probably get back the 15th or the 16th. So some of you might be having travel arrangements to go different places, but if you want to get experience, just at the very least knowing what a MPHA program is, or if you want to go to WSU, they love our students. How many students do they have?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure, but
Don't they have like 20 students and half of them
a lot
go?
of them are from BYU, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you're in Brother Tolman's class, they're basically begging for more of our students.
He shows us emails like all the time. It's just like unbelievable. Like, he's like, if you do all right on the GMAT or GRE and have a decent GPA, he's like, I mean,
the latest pay to University of Washington.
Yeah, and it's a good program. I mean, it's not ranked, just like Penn State, but if it's the right fit for you, it's a good thing. So with that in mind, that it would probably be $75, how many still, would you all still be interested if it was that cost? Okay, so, not to steal your fire, but why don't you get a piece of paper?
Or you guys can just email me too, that would work, right?
I would just do it right now, just because people
I
forget.
got a sheet of paper on me.
And write your information, Tyra.
Well, I live in Wilshire, so I would just like go out there and then drive.
And that's fine.
out there and travel.
That's fine. We have a couple that would probably do that, like Aaron, dribbling, and that's okay. So we basically have to for sure have like 5 or 6 because the university doesn't want to take 2 and have to pay for all the gas and all the hotel. They don't want to be in the red too much. So, anyways, Spencer, do you want to bring that paper up? So if you're interested in the trip, come sign the paper with your information, with your email, and we'll get in contact with you in a week or so. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Anybody else have anything they want to say? Oh yeah. So